I've got a new assignment for you. It's a small plane for people. They will be expecting you. Be there in 10 minutes. You have any questions?" Jacob swallowed hard. "How did you know my name?" Pablo laughed, a hearty, booming laugh. "You are not the first American pilot I've dealt with. Your cartel cousins already told me all about you. Now get going. I want this plane in the air before the sun comes up." "Understood." Jacob nodded dumbly, still in shock from the turn of events. He had gone from a boring flight to New York to being recruited by the most feared drug lord in the world. Questions pounded in his head, but he had no time to dwell on them. He needed to get to the airfield quickly. As he sped through the jungle roads in the car provided by Escobar, the vast screen blurred past him, punctuated by the occasional flash of color from exotic birds or flowers. Finally, he saw it, a small airstrip hacked out of the jungle, flanked by two small huts, one for administrative purposes, the other possibly for maintenance. Jacob parked his rental car and walked towards the hut where a young man sat at a rickety desk. He looked up as Jacob approached. "You must be the American," he said with a slight accent. "I'm Carlos. Pablo asked me to welcome you." Jacob felt a mix of apprehension and intrigue. This was it. He was about to enter the inner circle of the most powerful drug cartel in history. Carlos rose from his seat and gestured towards the plane. "Here, take this." He handed Jacob a pair of headphones. "Put these on when we take off. They'll help with the altitude." Jacob put on the headphones as he got into the plane. It was then that he noticed another set of earmuffs on the seat beside him, apparently for the dogs. One of the passengers was a dog. The other three were men. Two of them were built like offensive linemen, while the third was wiry and nervous. As for the dog, it was a Doberman, its eyes sharp and intelligent. Jacob could sense the tension in the small cabin, broken only by the whir of the engines and the excited barks of the dog. When they took off, Carlos, who was sitting in the seat behind Jacob, put on the headphones. "Now," he said, his voice crackling through the static, "I need you to listen very carefully. We don't talk much until we get to Venezuela." "Understand?" Jacob nodded, his throat suddenly dry. He had never been so acutely aware of the responsibility resting on his shoulders. As they flew over the Caribbean, Jacob kept an eye on the instruments, trying to ignore the weight of the cargo, both literally with the extra fuel and surprisingly in the form of dogs. Pablo Escobar trusted him with the safety of his associates, including his own nephew. That meant a lot. It also meant he couldn't afford to make a single mistake. Hours later, they landed in Venezuela. Jacob followed the others into a large mansion, every bit as opulent as the stories he'd heard. Gold leafing adorned everything from furniture to picture frames. Candelabras glittered on tables laden with food. Yet amid the opulence, Jacob couldn't shake off the feeling that he had just stepped into a cage of his own, a gilded cage. There was no turning back. He was in too deep. Pablo Escobar offered him a tour of the mansion, showing off his art collection and even his personal zoo. Jacob tried to relax, to enjoy the lavish surroundings, but he couldn't help but wonder how long it would be before the D caught up with him. Or worse, how long before Pablo lost patience and decided he was expendable. As the night wore on, Jacob saw firsthand the trappings of Escobar's power, but he also saw the danger that lurked around every corner. Guards with serious expressions patrolled the grounds. Men with fierce, hardened faces eyed him suspiciously, and the ever-present, unnerving feeling of being watched never left him. He was a guest in a kingdom of shadows, where luxury and danger intertwined in a deadly dance. Little did he know, this was just the beginning. In the coming days, Jacob would face situations that would test his loyalty, courage, and resolve. His journey from a routine pilot to a player in the deadly game of the drug cartels was just starting, and with each passing moment, he found himself drawn deeper into a world where survival often depended on making the right decisions. Would he rise to the challenge or crumble under the weight of it all? Only time would tell. If you want to hear the next part of this story, stay tuned. And if you enjoyed this video, Please leave a like and comment below. Thanks for watching. It was 1989 and Jacob had just landed his first officer job at a major airline. His life was a checklist of predictable perfection, a testament to hard work and dedication. Flight to Frankfurt? Check. Flight to Honolulu? Check. But then came a flight to Panama. That's when his life changed. He met Pablo Escobar, not face to face, but from a distance, hundreds of feet up. As Jacob flew his plane through a gauntlet of bullets, Escobar's men opened fire. They wanted Pablo's private plane to land, and they weren't taking any chances. Shrapnel tore through the aircraft, smoke filled the cockpit. Jacob fought to land the plane and bring it back to life. Once they did, he took off again, dodging more bullets until he finally reached safety. Back on solid ground, Jacob was debriefed by U.S. officials. His reward, a pat on the back and a free lunch. He was then sent back to finish his route, which included a stopover in Colombia. As Jacob stepped off the plane, a suited man introduced himself. He was Pablo Escobar's representative, and he had a proposition for Jacob: fly for the cartel. Jacob was stunned. He thought about his life of boring flights, predictability and safety. Could he really risk it all for a drug cartel? But the suited man had already laid out the risks and the rewards, and the offer was too good to refuse. From that moment on, Jacob's life changed forever. Gone were the passenger briefings and boring flight checklists. Now, he was flying under the radar, literally. His aircraft no longer carried businessmen and tourists, but black duffel bags filled with cocaine. Every flight meant danger. Every landing was on a hidden runway in the middle of the jungle or a dusty field in Central America. He had no flight logs, no questions asked, just pick up the cargo, fly low, avoid radar and drop it in the southern United States. The money, unimaginable. In 1 month, he made more than he had in 5 years at the airline: new cars, hidden bank accounts, gold watches, a beachfront home in Panama under a fake name. But Jacob wasn't stupid. He knew this world didn't last forever. Every flight could be his last. The D had already started tracking cartel routes. Radar systems were improving, and agents were getting closer. Then one night, while staying at a safe house in Nicaragua, he heard a knock. It wasn't a cartel courier. It was a man in a dark suit, American accent. Clean shave, calm voice. "Mr. Anderson," he said. "We know who you are. We know what you've done. But we also know what you can do for us." The man was with the D. But he didn't come to arrest Jacob. Instead, he offered a deal. Work for them. Fly missions for both sides. Feed intel. Help take down Escobar's network from the inside. Jacob hesitated. It was treason to the cartel. But refusing the U.S. government wasn't smart either. So, he agreed. From then on, Jacob became a double agent. He flew shipments for the cartel, but secretly reported coordinates, drop zones, and supply chains to the D. He lived in constant tension. One wrong word, and Escobar would have him killed. One mistake, and the D would turn on him too. His double life lasted almost 2 years. Until one mission, thus another drop in the Everglades turned into a setup. Gunshots, helicopters, sirens. The whole operation fell apart. Jacob barely escaped in a speedboat, bleeding from a bullet wound to the shoulder. He knew then his time was up. The D pulled him out and gave him a new identity. Witness protection, new name, new face. His flying days were over. Now, Jacob lives quietly in a remote part of Montana. No one knows his story. No one knows what he's done. But every time he sees a plane in the sky, he remembers the years when he flew through danger, between loyalty and betrayal, for a king who ruled the skies of cocaine. What do you think of Jacob's story? Do you admire his daring double-crossing, or do you condemn his choices? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you like such intense stories, don't forget to subscribe for more thrilling content. Your support motivates us to keep bringing you the best. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. And that was the unbelievable story of a man who traded the skies of safety for the storms of danger. If you enjoyed this kind of true crime story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. More jaw-dropping stories are coming: real lives, real risks, and the secrets they never told.
Hi guys, please subscribe my channel.